Welcome back to AI in Reality, AI for Service Enterprises, a podcast series by AblyPro. I'm Sam, an AI implementation consultant here, and I'm really glad you could join us again.
And I'm Tony, also a consultant with AblyPro. You know, in episode 1, we tackled all those common myths surrounding AI. Then in episode 2, we really showed how Einstein AI brings that much-needed clarity to service teams that are often feeling completely overwhelmed. Today, we're shifting gears a bit.
That's right, Tony. Today, in episode 3, we're diving into why delivery and finance teams miss risks and how Certinia AI predicts them early. We're really focusing on those critical delivery and finance functions, areas where risk can just build up silently, almost imperceptibly, and then suddenly they surface, often after they've already hit your bottom line. It's a common story we hear, isn't it?
Absolutely, Sam. Because when delivery or finance teams start talking about surprises, what they're usually referring to are things like utilization misses or margin erosion that seemed to come out of nowhere, or those projects that looked perfectly fine on paper until, well, suddenly they weren't. It's that moment of realization that often comes far too late.
And here's the thing that always strikes me. These so-called surprises almost never truly come out of nowhere, do they? There are always precursor signs.
Exactly. They build quietly, incrementally, week by week, sometimes even day by day. But the teams managing them, they just don't see those early indicators, not until it's really too late to make any meaningful course corrections. That's the real challenge.
So today, we're going to unpack why that happens, what creates that blind spot, and then, most importantly, what Certinia AI actually does about it. Let's start with the everyday reality, Tony. From your perspective, working with so many clients, what's the typical day-to-day for these delivery and finance teams?
You know, it's pretty consistent across the board. Utilization forecasts are just constantly shifting. You've got resources getting pulled to different projects, timelines are moving, and that scope creep everyone talks about, it's often creeping in quietly in small increments without anyone really flagging it immediately. It's a very dynamic environment.
And on the finance side, I imagine margins start leaking in similar subtle ways, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a few extra hours logged here, a delayed approval there, maybe a bit of rework that wasn't quite anticipated. Individually, none of these things look particularly dangerous or even noticeable. They're just minor deviations.
But collectively, that's where the problem really starts to multiply.
Exactly. Collectively, it adds up incredibly fast. And what we see with most teams is that they only really realize there's a significant problem during their quarterly reviews, which by then is often too late to truly mitigate.
Or worse, as you mentioned, after invoicing, when the numbers are locked in and there's really nothing left to do about it. That's the pattern we see repeated, isn't it? So why does this keep happening, Tony? Why do these teams, who are often so dedicated, keep missing these crucial signals?
Well, here's what we usually tell our clients. Most delivery and finance teams are still, surprisingly, relying heavily on spreadsheets and static reports. And the fundamental issue with static tools is that they just can't keep up with dynamic work environments. A spreadsheet, by its nature, shows you what already happened, right? It's not showing you what's about to happen.
So you're constantly looking backward instead of forward, trying to react to history rather than anticipating the future. That makes perfect sense.
Precisely. Then you add siloed systems into the mix. You've got your professional services automation, or PSA, data living in one system, and your core finance data living somewhere completely different. There's no unified shared picture. Finance sees one set of numbers, delivery sees another, and more often than not, they just don't line up.
And there's the human element too, isn't there? The natural optimism that creeps into planning.
Oh, absolutely. Human bias in planning is a huge factor. We see it all the time. Overly optimistic forecasts, best-case assumptions baked into every plan, which naturally makes potential risks look much smaller than they truly are, until suddenly they're not small anymore. They've just exploded.
So teams are essentially operating with incomplete information, delayed insights, and these overly optimistic projections. It sounds like a recipe for disaster, or at least for constant surprises.
Exactly. That's why surprises feel almost inevitable in that scenario. But you know what? They really don't have to be.
This is where Certinia AI completely changes the game, isn't it? It's not about just processing more data. It's about a fundamentally different approach.
It really is. Instead of just reacting to reports after the fact, which is what most teams are doing, Certinia AI is actually watching patterns in real time. It's constantly tracking utilization trends, identifying potential staffing gaps, monitoring project burn rates, all continuously. It's like having an incredibly diligent, tireless project manager and financial analyst working 24/7.
So it's predicting where that pressure is building before the utilization actually drops, before the margins really start to erode, before delivery teams even begin to feel the pain themselves. That's a huge shift from what we just discussed.
Precisely. It's not about looking at what happened last week and analyzing it. It's about flogging what's likely to happen next week or even next month if nothing changes. And it monitors project health continuously, not just weekly or monthly, but truly continuously. That's the power.
That's incredible. So finance leaders suddenly see revenue and margin risks early enough to actually act on them. And delivery leaders can course correct while there's still ample time to make meaningful adjustments, not just scramble to put out fires. I think one thing we really emphasize in our implementations, though, is that this isn't about just generating more reports, is it?
No, not at all. It's about surfacing the right signals at the right time. It's predictive, not reactive. That's the fundamental revolutionary shift that Certinia AI brings to the table for these organizations.
So when all of this is working properly, when Certinia AI is implemented effectively, what do teams actually experience on a daily basis? What are the tangible benefits?
Well, first and foremost, there are just fewer surprises during those reviews. Teams aren't blindsided by margin problems or sudden utilization drops anymore. It takes a huge amount of stress out of the equation, you know?
That sounds like a massive relief for everyone involved.
It truly is. Second, they get forecasts that actually reflect reality. They're not just optimistic guesses. These are predictions grounded in real data patterns, constantly updated. And third, you see healthier margins across projects because you're catching those little leaks and issues so much earlier. You can plug them before they become gushers.
And that's where we hear clients say that teams stop firefighting and really start planning with confidence. It transforms the whole dynamic.
Absolutely. Finance and delivery finally start to speak the same language because they're looking at the same signals, the same trusted insights. But of course, Certinia AI doesn't just work automatically out of the box, does it? There's a really important foundation that needs to be in place.
Exactly. And this is where our work at AblyPro really becomes critical. Certinia AI is incredibly powerful, but it doesn't just deliver value by default. It absolutely needs the right setup, the right configuration.
Right. We help organizations make their professional services cloud, or PSA cloud, and their financial management cloud, or FM cloud, truly AI ready. That's often the first step, aligning data across those critical delivery and finance systems. Because if your PSA and finance data aren't talking to each other, the AI just can't connect those crucial dots.
Then we move into configuring Certinia AI itself to really reflect how those specific teams actually plan, staff, and bill. It's not some generic setup. It's tailored to their unique processes and workflows.
And here's what we always tell clients, something that's really vital. It doesn't stop at go live. AI, especially in dynamic business environments, isn't a set it and forget it solution.
Precisely. We continuously tune those AI models through our managed services as project volumes change, as margins shift, as the services themselves evolve. This ensures those insights remain relevant and the predictions stay trusted over time.
Yeah, because without that ongoing optimization, AI predictions can just drift over time, and teams, quite naturally, will eventually stop trusting them. We've certainly seen that happen with organizations that don't maintain their models.
So that continuous improvement through managed services isn't just optional. It's truly how you keep AI working effectively and delivering real long-term value.
Exactly. It's about sustained impact.
All right, so here's the big takeaway for today. The core problem isn't that delivery and finance teams lack data. They usually have mountains of it.
Right. The problem is that risks surface far too late. By the time you actually see that problem highlighted in a traditional report, you've often already lost valuable time to fix it and the damage is done.
And that's where Certinia AI steps in. It brings those risks forward. It flags them early, proactively, so you can actually act when it truly matters, making a real difference to your projects and your bottom line.
And with the right partner handling the implementation and the ongoing optimization, that intelligence stays perfectly aligned with your business objectives, ensuring maximum impact.
So what's coming up for us in episode 4, Tony? I'm excited to hear.
Next time, we're talking about agentic AI. That's AGENTIC. We'll explore how it helps service organizations act even earlier and smarter by not just detecting signals across systems, but actually triggering automated actions based on those signals. It's pretty groundbreaking.
Wow. So if you've ever wished your systems could just handle routine follow-ups or proactive outreach without constant manual intervention, episode 4 is definitely going to be for you.
That wraps up episode 3 for us. I'm Tony.
And I'm Sam. Keep questioning the hype, and we'll see you next time on AI in Reality.